All right. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Marissa, Jenna, G, Nick, and Olivia. Good morning. I hope you guys are well. Whew. Okay. Sorry for the late start. Well, 2 minutes. No, late is late. Sorry for the late start. Last class ran a little bit over, which means I'm going to try and hustle for you guys to get through everything I need to get through today so that you have the best possible understanding of our project that we're going to get into today. And I'm very excited and happy to announce it because I'm excited to get you guys out doing some creative things, shooting some video, putting together a cool edit. And I'm hoping maybe some of these can even be featured on the morning show. Actually would be really cool as well. So, okay. If people come along, they come along, and that's great. And if they don't, that's on them, but they can always watch this later. I just like it so that if you guys have questions, you can ask me here. And I think also just being a part of this to hear while I explain, it makes things way more thorough and maybe overkill. But at the same time, if it means that you understand everything clearly and don't have questions and get through the assignment and project easier, then awesome. All right. Okay, let me catch my breath a sec. Man. All right. Let's get into it right away. Why not waste any time? I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you enjoy your weekend coming up. Go to a park. They're opening up again tomorrow. I'm very excited about that, as it means I can go running or just napping in the park. Favorite pastime. Okay, let's get into our first shooting project. And don't let the lack of an interesting title here fool you. This was a project that I kind of wrestled with for a little bit, if only because I wanted to try and do something that was fairly inclusive to our current situation. And I understand, this needs to be something where we can shoot while not having a lot of access to things outside the home and different types of restrictions within the home. Maybe your parents don't let you go outside. Maybe parents are okay with you in the backyard, front yard, driveway, whatever, but they won't let you ride your bike around. And I totally understand all of that. And so that's where the scalability of this project comes in, and that's where the flexibility in our schedule for due dates and things is also going to come into play as well. All right, so I tried my best to be as accommodating to you all, right, as much as possible. If we have questions along the way, throw them in the chat, as I will be checking periodically to make sure that my internet's still up. So if you see that screen swap, all right, it's just me going back to the stream to look. But if I see your question, I can always answer it along the way. So you're not going to interrupt me. Get it in there. I'll get to that question as soon as I see it. All right, so our first shooting project. So now that we have a better understanding of WeVideo, at least feel a little bit more comfortable with it. And I think it's safe to say that just even with our practice edits, you may have gone into that feeling, okay, like I got to feel this out, but now getting to use it, I go, oh, this isn't that bad. So even if your skill level and comfortability went up a little bit, cool. That means we're growing, we're on the right track. Okay, this time around, of course, we're going to add the shooting of your own video, all right, as a means to edit and piece together a professional looking package, okay? Now, in doing so, I wanted to make sure, again, because of accessibility and some of the restrictions we have going on, that this was something that you could easily come up with a concept for. And so today is a little bit less about, getting you prepped with some background information on the project. It's more about how to help best get you to, and you're going to hear me use this term a lot, build out the project. All right, so when it comes down to the concept, here we are, all right? I want you to be the expert on a particular topic of your choosing, okay? And you don't actually have to be the expert, you just have to play one on TV, all right? So for our first project, you're going to be creating a 2 to 2.5 minute how-to video on a subject of your choosing. Now, this can range from something very small to something very complex. And obviously, the level of that complexity might not have too much bearing on your 2 to 2.5 minute video if we build it out the right way. And again, we'll walk through that process today. Okay, so every example that I've come up with to go over with you today are things that I came up with by quite literally standing right here at my desk working and in my dining room, and just looking around my house. And it's, oh, okay. Oh, like that's how I came up with my examples. And they're not overly complex, okay? But that's not to say that we can't do a video on them. So you may have been already going, oh, that's the project. Okay, your brain may have jumped to, well, what can I do? All right. And the best way to start that process, as I know coming up with ideas can be difficult, is to kind of just first rhetorically ask yourself, what are you really good at? Okay. I said before is that you're going to be the expert on a subject, but that doesn't actually mean you have to be the expert on a subject. And if you think of what it really means to be an expert on something, it means that you have mastered a craft, okay, and you are at the top of your field or career or, sport, whatever the case may be. And that's I'm not saying no one here isn't an expert, all right, but I'm saying that's a really, really, really thin margin. I know tons about video production. I'm really good at it. Am I an expert? Absolutely not, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? It gives me room to grow. And so if you can answer that question, what am I really, really good at? Then it doesn't matter how big or small that thing is. It's just going to allow you to demonstrate it with authority. And that's going to add to the relatability and confidence that we want to see when we're getting an explanation from something. It's kind of like if on the first day of class, I kind of came in there and you within 10 seconds were like, this guy doesn't know how to run a classroom at all. You might again, that credibility might be gone. Maybe you think that even now, and I hope you don't, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like you want to make sure that you can speak confidently about something. So it doesn't need to be complex. It can be really simple. Again, looking around my house, here's what I came up with. All right, I am really good at brushing my teeth, doing my makeup, making a bed, playing video games, cooking or baking or drawing and painting, cleaning and organizing, working out or exercising, helping other people, volunteering, taking pictures, folding clothes. Maybe you're really good in math class and you want to show how to do certain problems. Cool. Crossword puzzles, games and puzzles, playing an instrument, singing, dancing, collecting things, writing things, picking out an outfit, reading, etc. This list can go on. Look at the things around your home. I'm sure you'll land on something that you feel you're really good at. And I know that sounds kind of silly, like who's going to watch a 2-minute video on how to brush your teeth? Well, if you talk confidently about how to do it, maybe I will watch this and go, you know what? They were right, and I've been doing some things wrong. And that may sound really silly, okay? And if you're stumped for an idea, you could do this too. But even if you just want to see the absurdity of some of these things, just go into Google or YouTube and type how to, and let autocomplete finish the rest, and you will see some ridiculous things. And that's okay, all right? Part of this project came out of our current situation in that I've had to do some things around the house. Maybe I've done some meals that I wouldn't normally cook. You better believe I looked up how to do those things first. All right. My brother bought his second house and he's like, well, no, the whole first one was a lot of learning. I basically watched YouTube videos to learn how to do things around the house. Cool. Like, that's awesome. All right. And now more than ever, people are turning to that as a means to try new things. All right. At the beginning of our quarantine, I was baking bread and I've never baked bread before successfully. But after a few videos, I had a better understanding of what to do. And now I can somewhat confidently bake bread. So again, doesn't need to be super complex. It just needs to be something that you feel you're really good at. All right. But you're going to sell us on your level of expertise. Okay, it would be bad form to say, all right, guys, today I'm going to show you how to properly make a bed. Now, I've had troubles with this. I'm not really that good, but here, follow along with me. I'd be like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. If you're not really good, why do I want to believe in you? So you can play the expert, all right? And depending on the skill that you've chosen or the craft that you've chosen or the hobby that you want to get into, all right, you can build out that idea. Okay, and that's where the scalability comes in. So we can kind of work through how to build something out today. Because as you saw, if I'm doing a 2.5-minute video on how to brush my teeth, there might not be enough steps in that process to get to 2.5 minutes. But if we build it out the right way, okay, you may find that 2.5 minutes isn't enough time. So let's practice building it out. Jen, thanks for joining us. Hello. Okay, so once you have that thought completed, that sentence completed, I am really good at blank. When that blank is filled in, let's start to think about ways that we can round out that concept into a more rounded out video. All right. And the first thing I always look to is, okay, well, is there anything in a historical context that I can mention in reference to what I want to show? All right. Or is there any interesting analytical information out there that, people want to know? Again, if we're going back to brushing our teeth, if I find that, only 77% of adults brush their teeth twice a day. I didn't know that before. Did you know that? Okay, if you didn't know that, and I understand that's not important information, but that trivial information triggers our brain to go, oh, I didn't know that. When we hear something that's interesting and we didn't know, we're more inclined to be interested in what comes next. And so if you're starting off a video kind of getting into some historical stuff or some analytical stuff or statistical stuff, you're going to trigger someone's natural instinct to be inclined to know more. And since they're there to learn already, this is a great way to start. Okay? Discuss your plan. It may seem kind of weird to discuss the plan before actually doing your plan, but in a lot of successful videos that follow this template, okay? And that's why I was going to shoot an example. I opted not to because in my example, I wanted to cook and my kitchen's disgusting. But if you look up a lot of how-to videos, you will see this common formula. Discuss your plan. Here are the steps that we're going to go through today so that you can be successful at blank, because you filled in the blank. All right. And then just kind of quickly outlining the steps along the way that you're going to follow in your video lets people know how they can follow along while they're watching. And then another way to build things out, tips and tricks. Okay. How you do things personally, all right, might differ from everyone else. All right, everyone brushes their teeth, but not everyone does it the same way. So why do you do it that way, and why is it successful, and why should I try it that way? What are alternatives that you can do to mix it up or change things? All right, and then of course you can encourage people to try it your way on their own to see if they like it or if it's successful for them. Okay, so if we were to take my example, which I mentioned has to do with cooking, and like most people, I'm cooking way more now than I ever have, but that's okay because I actually really enjoy cooking. I also really like going out for dinner. So, but I'm cooking a lot at home, and while I know not everyone is a master chef, or has a lot of cooking skills, there are some really basic foods I think everyone should know how to make, and there's no reason why we can't know how to make those really well. So one of the things that always bothered me about looking up recipes is that my first look is, okay, if I don't have these ingredients in the house, I can't make it anyway, and now more than ever, I just can't run to the store and get them. So I'm immediately turned off by recipes that have ingredients that I don't keep in the house commonly. But one thing that most people keep in the house that I thought would be a really good example would be grilled cheese. So again, I like to cook complex dishes, but grilled cheese is pretty simple because it's like 3 ingredients and you're done. So I was like, okay, well, let's use this as an example then. I am really good at making grilled cheese. Cool. That's our concept. We have an idea of what the video is going to be about, but let's build it out, all right, to make this simple 3-ingredient process a more well-rounded video, and we'll hit that 2.5 minute time mark. All right. So I might start off that video with an introduction of myself, of course, as well as just briefly mentioning what it is that we're going to show in this video. But I might get into before that or after that, and it sounds kind of silly to think about, but like the history of the grilled cheese sandwich, the origin of that sandwich. Most people don't really think about it, right? And kind of, to be fair, why would you? No offense to grilled cheese. It's delicious, and it's that perfect kind of overcast, wet, rainy day that grilled cheese and a cup of soup on the couch with Netflix sounds really good, right? So we can all like relate to the comfort food that is grilled cheese, but we've never probably taken time to look up the history of the grilled cheese sandwich. I did, and it took about 2 minutes. It was a quick, all right, let's just check the Wikipedia and see what it says here. And that gave me enough information that if I needed to, I can put in my video. And I want to plan for it, of course, okay? And I want to shoot it, of course, because I would rather have the option in my edit to either leave it in or take it out. Okay, so I don't know if you knew this, but grilled cheese was originated by a naval chef who was looking for a way to make a ton of sandwiches simultaneously to serve hot food to his crew. And they had a big flat top grill on the ship, of course, and so grilled cheese kind of became a mainstay there. In fact, a lot of them were served open-faced, which was just open-faced sandwich just means it's not closed. but bread and cheese. All right. And it wasn't until like Depression era time in the 30s where it became a low cost option to serve hot meals to guests in your home. People still wanted to be sociable, even though they didn't have a lot of money. And it was typically socially frowned upon to serve anything but a hot meal for dinner. So if you're having guests over, grilled cheese is a hot meal. It's simple to make and it's cost effective. All right, because later on, 40s, 50s, the government also issued cheese. Okay, it's kind of similar to how food stamps may work now, where you get vouchers for food and necessities that you would need in your household to, eat and live. The government would issue big blocks of cheese, and you can, eat that until you got your next block. And so grilled cheese actually kind of became popular for that, waned a little bit, but then came back in the 80s and 90s as more mass-produced cheese like Kraft Singles and things came about as the best way to make a grilled cheese sandwich. Now, I just talked for like 90 seconds or 2 minutes on the history of grilled cheese, and while that would be the entirety of my video, I've got tons of stuff to choose from if I want to put that in my edit. So I'm going to hold on to that information that I know, that I wrote, and that I'm going to record to use in my edit. All right, and now you know more than you ever thought you did about grilled cheese. And to answer Jenna's question, yes, this presentation, all right, with all these slides, as well as the worksheet for today that I'll go over next, and the project stipulations, video requirements, they're all going to be up on Classroom. Okay, so they'll be posted soon. I just wanted the chance to go through them. So, of course, they'll be up there. I believe they're scheduled for 11:25. All right, so I just went through step 1. Step 2 is, okay, let's go through my list of ingredients that I'll need and explain why I chose the ones that I did. And this could be really simple. All right, you're going to need bread, and you're going to need cheese, and you're going to need some sort of spread. I prefer butter, so I'm going to have that handy as well, but you might want to talk about your bread choice or your cheese choice and why you wouldn't use certain breads and why you wouldn't use certain cheeses. And again, that may be like really silly, basic stuff, but anything that you feel you're really good at or proficient at, some of those really silly, basic things, you got to remember, people don't know. All right. And that's why you're good at something, because you know those without having to really think about it. All right, it's not until step 3 that I actually get to the step-by-step process of making the sandwich. This is the actual how-to, okay? Afterwards, I'm going to discuss some alternatives to mix it up if you want to try different things. Hey, not every cheese is great for grilled cheese, but here's a list of cheeses you can try if you want to try changing it up. Different types of breads that work well, and how you can adapt to different ingredients if you don't have one of those ingredients in your house. Like right now, I don't have bread in the house, but I do have English muffins. I wouldn't make a grilled cheese sandwich on an English muffin, but there's arguably nothing to say that I couldn't. So in a pinch, if I really wanted grilled cheese but was out of bread and couldn't get some, I could try it. See how that goes. All right. And then finally at the end, I'm going to wrap up and encourage people to try this at home and use some of the tricks and stuff that I taught them, right? That last little bit is a shorter build out, but it kind of transfers the power from you as the authoritative person on this skill and gives it back to the person who is looking to achieve their goal and getting information on it. All right. I'll move really quickly through this next one. I wanted to try and build something out with a topic that I know nothing about or wouldn't ever do because it's not in my skill set. So I was like, okay, here we go. I'm really good at dancing to pop music. I am not. All right. But let's see if we can build this out. And I actually started to build it out when I said, okay, well, I'm not really good at dancing, but dancing is kind of vague. Like you actually want to try and narrow down a little bit in your topic, because saying, oh, I'm really good at dancing, I think my immediate follow-up question to that would be, well, what kind of dance are you good at? And there are tons of different dances. So I could have said I'm really good at jazz dancing or ballet or tap, but I was like, you know what, let's keep it contemporary. I'm really good at pop music. So I'm not good at any dancing, but it just a good example on how you might need to be a little bit more specific in your concept. All right, so let's build this out. I might open that after my introduction and about myself and the video, describing this style of dance, how it came about, and who were some of the popular artists at the time that pushed this and made it more mainstream and successful. So like pop music, for example, I might go all the way back to Elvis. I might go all the way back to Michael Jackson and talk about their influence on the style of music and the style of dance that went with that. All right. Step 2 for me is to tell people what they'll need to do to follow along at home with me. I figured a dance tutorial video might be something where someone's going to have it up on their screen and then start to do it. I can't imagine they're going to be watching aimlessly. But if they want to participate, you might want to explain what they're going to have to do to follow along. Wear comfortable clothing. Make sure that you're on a non-slip surface. If you're on a carpet, I would probably wear shoes. You don't want to wear socks on carpet and do dance moves. It's dangerous. Make sure there's space around you. Like, you can list these things as part of the preparation process. All right. Step 3, mention the dance you are teaching and what it's based on, what they can use for music if they want to use something different than what you're going to play. And that just kind of narrows down a little bit the focus of the step-by-step, which we get to in part 4, right? So we don't actually, in this whole build-out, don't get to the how-to part until step 4. All right, and then 5 is going to be just variations of the dance and how it could be mixed up. All right, so again, I'm not a dancing expert, but I thought that would be a good demonstration of how to break something down, even if I'm not great at it. All right, so in building this project, all right, I had to take a look at what we normally do for our pre-production process. And while normally a project like this in school, which I've never actually done in school, this is totally specific to our current digital situation here, is that we would probably go through the same presentation. We might do it as a group-oriented thing. Okay, so let's come up with a concept. Let's form teams. Let's start pre-production. Give me your treatment. Then we move on to storyboards and your script and your shot list. And it didn't seem like that was a viable way to do a project online, from home and stuff. So I kind of had to condense pre-production a little bit. All right. That's not to say it's not going to help us map things out. It's still going to be pretty thorough, but we're going to let some of that stuff slide, and we're going to just change how some of the other stuff looks. All right. So the pre-production worksheet, which should be on Classroom any minute now, all right, is going to be an assignment today that's due next class. But I did want to make sure there was special mention of the time, as in everything that we've been doing so far has been due by the start of the class that it's due. So instead of, if this were due next class, it would normally be due at 10:59 so that I can go over it with you, answer questions, maybe pull up a few examples. This one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be due at the end of next class. And part of that reason is because I still want to have a meeting and make sure that if anyone has any questions or has trouble moving through the worksheet, then I know I'm there to help you. And so this is just akin to saying, okay, it's day 1 of pre-production. You guys know what you have to do. Go. And then I can walk around the class and check in on groups and sit down and talk one-on-one. So it's going to mirror as best as possible that kind of environment. Now, if you have no issues and you fly through this worksheet and you have a clear understanding of what you're going to do and feel confident in it, then awesome. Come to the stream, say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I just turned in the project or the assignment. I think I'm good. I'll see you later. Cool. That is perfectly fine. Do that. If you get it done between now and next class and you say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I turned it in, but could you look over it real quick and then give me some feedback now so I can make changes to it and then resubmit it with you here? That's perfectly fine too. And if you want to come with it and say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I've got like part 2 down, but I'm really having some issues in part 1. Can you help me out a little bit? Awesome. That's fine. That means you can kind of do what you can, and then we can work through some of it together. So let's very quickly move through that worksheet. That's not the right worksheet. This is the right worksheet, okay? So this worksheet, the project stipulations, which I just minimized, and then this presentation are going to be up on Classroom for you guys, all right? As of now, they should be up there. If not, then any minute now. I forgot when I scheduled it. But let's just move through this together very quickly so you have an understanding of kind of how to do this. All right, so our pre-production worksheet, this is going to be the assignment that's due at the end of next class. All right, starts off, of course, with that question, I'm really good at blank. And I want you to fill in that blank. What is going to be the subject or topic that you're going to demonstrate your how-to on? And once we have that, awesome. Now we can build it out a little bit. And I did break it down in parts just so if you wanted to reference something specific in class next time, if you said, hey, like I said, Mr. Leonard, I understand my how-to part, and so I did part 2 perfectly fine, but I'm having some issues with part 1. Can you give me some ideas for question 1? Okay, cool. Now it narrows it down specifically to what you need some help with, and I can kind of be a little bit more focused in that response. All right, so part 1 is the intro. All right, this is going to be question 1, part 1. This is background information. Embarrassing spelling error. List some background on your skill. Now, this could be the historical information I mentioned. This could be the statistical information, or how you came to be the expert, or any combination of that. All right. I think if you're able to explain some personal stuff, so the example I used in my other class was, let's say you want to do, I'm really good at basketball free throws. Okay, cool. That's pretty specific. You're going to go through some technique, and that's great. So I think it might be a bad idea to get into some super in-depth history on the free throw, because I think you can do like an hour-long documentary on that, right? You might want to mention, well, the free throw has been in basketball since blah, 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 blah. I don't know the answer to that. And I've been playing basketball for 10 years. So what I'm going to show you today is my technique to have the most accurate free throw possible. Okay, that's infinitely more interesting than just saying, I'm going to show you how to do a free throw. Let's go. All right, so you kind of want to work that information in there. Question 2, list the objects that you'll need to make the video. And this is going to be everything outside of the video requirements. Like, you don't need to put your camera on your computer and stuff like that. This is just the objects you'll need for the step-by-step instructions. So if I were to go grill cheese, I would need to know that, okay, I need bread and cheese and butter and stove and a pan and a spatula and a knife. I put there, you don't need to list video equipment. But leave this list open, all right, just so you can always come back to it and add things. I didn't actually add knife, which is why it's capitalized like that, until I was going through my step-by-step process. And I said, okay, well, you're going to spread butter on the, oh, wait, hold on, I can't spread butter. I didn't put knife down. Let's go back and add knife. So feel free to come back to this and add things as you realize you need them. Question 3, explain why your way of doing it is the best. All right, personal stories add to the video and make you a more relatable expert. If they can relate to you, you're going to be the reason why people want to watch you do it. All right, and there's really no wrong answer here. You are showing your technique, all right, your skill, and so your rationalization for why you are great at it, I can't challenge, right? Now, you don't want to put, well, my way of doing it's the best because I'm the best. All right, that's a statement that people make if they don't have the brain capacity to actually give a real answer. So you want to make sure that you are explaining that, okay? For anyone that says, well, I'm the best, I'm just the best, without any, no, you can't just make that claim without backing it up. So if you're going to tell me why your free throw is the best way to do it, tell me why you think that is. That's what's going to go here. All right. Part 2 is the process, the step-by-step, and that's question 4. Explain the steps you'll go through in the video when showing your skill. All right. Try and get it to 5. All right. And I did write explain in complete sentences. If you need to add more, keep going. All right. I had a TV3 student yesterday that asked if she could do something on horseback riding. Okay. Awesome. And I have to imagine there are way more than 5 steps. So use as many as you think you need. Okay. But explaining in complete sentences is crucial here because it's going to act as your script. When you get your word tracks down here, all right, fully thought out, it translates to saying that on camera. And you don't want to shorthand it on camera, and you don't want to wing it on camera that much because your confidence will waver and that will show. But if you've got complete thoughts and complete sentences that you can look at and go, oh, okay, if this is step 1, I'm going to say it just like this, it's going to sound and look better in your video. All right, so be thorough with the process there. Remember, you can always record and shoot more steps and then condense later. So if you come up with 10 steps on how to make a grilled cheese sandwich, but you realize that you had buttering both sides of the bread as 2 different steps, well, okay, you can just shorten that down a little bit and say, step 1, butter both sides of the bread. Question 5, what are some parts of the steps that people can adjust or change if they need to? What are the modifications that are available? So my example was, well, if I don't have butter in the house, I can use mayo or margarine or some kind of spread if people don't keep butter in the house. Or maybe you're out of butter. Maybe you use mayo normally, but you're out of mayo and have butter around. There's your option. There's your alternative. And then 6, any special tips and tricks you've picked up on your craft you can share. All right, normally if you're doing a how-to video, you've done this task dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of times. All right, so there has to be some stuff that through your experience doing it that you've picked up and started to tweak, all right, even if it seems small. All right, like I was making breakfast this morning, and I make breakfast every morning, but I've started to get in the habit now of making sure that the water for my coffee is boiling before I put my muffin in the toaster to toast, so that when my French press takes about 4 or 5 minutes to brew, my muffin will be done, and then I can have my coffee and muffin piping hot at the same time. That didn't come from the first time I did it. That just came from doing it every single day. All right. Now, part 3 is going to be relating to the actual video shoot. And much like our past projects in class, there are 5 different shots that I want you to get. All right, close-up, extreme close-up, medium shot, a tracking or dolly shot, and a top-down shot. I'll explain the last 2 in a sec, okay? But in this chart, you're just going to say, all right, here's the shot type, close-up. What do we see? You're going to just put in that, what am I getting a close-up of? What am I getting an extreme close-up of? This is going to be a really short shot list, okay? The other shots in the video are going to be up to you, but these are 5 that I'm going to request that we have as one of the video requirements. The tracking and dolly shot and your top-down shot are a little bit different than what we're accustomed to. Your top-down shot is a bird's eye, all right? And if I just use my phone as a camera here, we know that a bird's eye is usually up in the corner of the room looking out so it can see everything. So a bird's eye is going to keep that same elevation, a top-down shot is going to keep that same elevation, but much like the name suggests, it's going to be, so if I'm getting, it's directly above my subject. So if my person's walking, I'm above them and looking straight down. The tracking or dolly shot we're accustomed to in class because, well, when we shoot around the building, there's a lot of hallways, and we have the tendency to, put the camera out and follow the subject, right? Whether we're going back or forward. All right, those are all tracking and dolly shots. Now, you might not have a need for something so grandiose in your video, and that's okay. You can make those motions really subtle. If I was doing a demonstration on how to set up audio and video equipment for a YouTube live stream, all right, I may take some time to talk about the type of microphone that I'm using, and instead of having a dramatic gesture, I can do this. All right, just a nice little arc around what I'm talking about. So when I'm talking about my microphone, I can cut to this nice rotating shot around it, or maybe even, right, a slow dolly into it. It doesn't need to be this grandiose gesture. You can do subtle camera movements and they'll look really good. All right, now part 4. There wasn't much I can put in to start mapping out some post-production stuff, but I did want you to give some thought to what you're going to call this, if only because it then helps in the edit not make your title become the last thing. And that was just something that I saw a lot in my classes, was that the video edit was done and there was always these conversations, hey guys, what are we calling this? What did you call yours? I don't know what to call mine. And then eventually we would kind of get fed up and put a crappy title in just so we can export and get it up on the server. But if we kind of just put some thought into the title now, that could help us. You guys did a pretty good job of making sure that we had creative titles for our practice edit. Keep that, the same here. So like I could call it "How to Make Grilled Cheese." Okay. I mean, the title is what the video is about. It's just not very interesting. But if I were to say it like, I don't know, Sleazy and cheesy, the best grilled cheese sandwich, how to make. Like that could be something that's a little bit more eye-catching, I guess. But that just gives us the foresight to kind of map ahead for that. Tristan, thanks for joining. All right, last little bit here before we wrap up on the day. I will take any questions, of course. All right, let's get into the project sheet, video stipulations. All right, I'm going to move past the objective and goal, but obviously here we're incorporating our video skills. All right, and the key part here is we're hitting all facets of production. All right, pre-production, which is writing. All right, and then, which is that worksheet, shooting and editing to reach an audience with an intended message. Okay, that's the key part. You can have a really great concept, really bad execution, and while we saw what you were trying to do, you may have been unsuccessful. So the goal is to try and get an audience to understand your video, learn something along the way, and hopefully be entertained too. Okay, video requirements. There is a 15-shot minimum, all right, including the 5 shots that I've asked you to get. So the 5 I've required and then 10 additional of your choice. But you may find that realistically, depending on what it is that you're showing, you might get through 15 really quickly. Okay. So I think that was just erring on the side of caution for me. You might be double that, which is fantastic. Be creative with the types of shots you get, especially if you're demonstrating like something with your hands on. Get lots of close-ups, get lots of tracking dolly shots. Like you can make it look really cool. Okay. Now we know credits and a creative title are a mainstay in almost everything we do. All right. But collectively, and I'll just to clarify because it's a little vague here, I apologize. Total, you're going to have 7 uses of text. All right. So if you know that your credits and your title are 2 of 7, you can very simply go, all right, I'm making grilled cheese. Is it a 4 or 5 step process? All right, let's say it's 4 steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Okay, I'm at 6. I just need to find a way to put text in there one more time. If yours is more than that, fantastic. You're already good. So 7 uses of text total, all right, including your credits and your title. You need to have 1 song in there mixed well, all right, and the mixing is a little bit more important this time around as you're going to be talking in parts of your video. So you want to make sure, 1, of course, we can hear you clearly without the song overpowering you, and you're going to probably have to use your keyframing in WeVideo a little bit more this time around, and that's okay. It's good practice. You can have more than 1 song. If you want to change it up, by all means go for it, but you're going to want to have something there to kind of fill the void when you're done explaining something and we're going to see something. You do need to have some appearance in the video, meaning we need to see you. And it can be very simple in an intro and outro, all right, where you can blatantly look at the camera just like this and address your audience, right? They're there to learn from you. So having a shot where you're talking directly to the camera is perfectly fine. It's kind of weird for me knowing I'm talking to you, but really looking at my camera and kind of focusing on the wall behind it, and there's a blinding light there, but that's what I have to do to give the impression that I am directing stuff to you guys. If I constantly look down, that would be bad. All right. On that note, you want to make sure as much as possible your camera is eye level. Okay. If I'm giving you instruction, your shot should look as if we are talking face to face. And we talked about that a little bit in the beginning of the year when we were going over shot types. All right, having a camera angle way down here where I'm looking down and have that double chin and bad shadows on my face, and it's not a good look. So try and keep as best as you can when you're addressing the camera an eye level shot. If you're doing just an intro and outro, that's probably the bare minimum of being in the video. If your skill involves you doing certain things, you know, like grilled cheese sandwich is probably going to be a lot of my hands doing stuff. But doing a free throw or dance, for example, we're going to see more of me, obviously. So all of those things would satisfy the requirements. All right, and we know the runtime needs to be between 2 to 2.5 minutes. So I want to move through the schedule quickly because it is going to be a little different, and I do have a change up. I just haven't landed on it yet. So we know that the pre-production worksheet, all right, this worksheet that I went over before, is going to be due at the end of next class. After that, I needed to kind of look at our production cycle, right? Because we know we'd have days in school where, okay, pre-production's done, we're shooting today, great. Let's grab a camera and go. All right. And we know we have a due date set, so we can kind of map out how to best use our shooting days and then our edit days. So pre-production worksheet due at the end of next class, okay, which is going to be 11:59 on Tuesday of next week. The 2 classes after that are going to be dedicated as production days, days to go shoot. And then the 2 classes after that are going to be days dedicated to editing. That's not to say that you can't edit outside of our class time. That's not to say you can't edit or shoot outside of our class time. Obviously, you could do those things for sure. And depending on your skill set, the time of day may change greatly. All right. If I can cook grilled cheese anytime I want, I probably, if I need to shoot a basketball and do a free throw, should do it when it's 1, nice outside, and 2, when it's daylight, so I don't have to do it in my driveway at night and the video looks really bad. So you have an extra responsibility here to make sure you're managing your time to shoot and edit this video responsibly. And I know that's not something to take lightly, but I also know that I need to respect your ability to figure out and learn how to do that. So I still want to be available for you guys during those class sessions, all right? But I'm still working on how that's going to look. So I don't have a definitive answer yet and what that's going to be like. I will let you know by the end of next class. I might start a live stream and be available for 15, 20 minutes, but if no one shows up, I might close it out. I might do a 4-hour Zoom meeting, and you can come and go as you please over the course of the day. I just want it to be that I am actually there available with something other than, send me an email if you have questions, because that's always a mainstay, but like we have dedicated time together, and I want to respect that time where if you do have an issue or need help, that I am available for you guys in a little bit more meaningful way. Okay, so just to throw up the calendar there real quick, and then we'll wrap on the day. That's not the calendar. That's my email. You don't need to see that. That's my text messages. Definitely don't need to see that. Here we go. Okay, today is May 1st. This pre-production worksheet will be due the end of class on the 5th. The next 2 days after that are our shooting days, the 7th and the 11th. All right. The next 2 days after that are dedicated editing days, 13th and 15th. All right. Which means the next time I would see you guys after that is the 19th. I don't know what our schedule is going to look like, because we're supposed to hear by the 15th if we'll be back in the building the following week. And if we are, all right, we will probably continue to wrap up this project before we just kind of get into anything else. All right. But if we look at that, if you even just look at just school days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you've got 11 days to do a 2.5 minute video. That is a ton of time, okay, if you manage it responsibly. So I'm hoping that you manage it responsibly. Okay, I'm going to bounce back to the chat here, get to my cam face. All right, Damien's joined us. Damien, thank you for the Chromebook charger updates. Hopefully you'll have that come Monday. And I'm hoping then if you do, the extended time we have on this project will allow you to get caught up pretty easily, because I think that is a large chunk of time. So I figured I would ask if anyone has any questions about the project, about the due dates. Let me know now. I'm going to hang for another minute or so. But if not, we'll wrap 15 minutes early today. That's fine. We covered a lot of stuff, and it means that you guys can get started on that pre-production worksheet. You can start your weekend a little bit earlier, but just know that the end of class on Tuesday, that pre-production worksheet will be due as a graded homework assignment, and then I will give you the updates on some WeVideo stuff, as well as how we will be meeting the 4 classes after that. All right, so take a second. Any questions? If not, then I don't know. Let me know we're heading out, and enjoy your weekend. Yeah, I think a lot of those things, Damien, I think there's such a mad dash for people out there to get working electronic devices, because every school in the country is going through the same thing we are. So, Chromebook shortages are rampant, and computer parts are really hard to come by. I had to order a hard drive off of Amazon, and it was like back ordered for 3 weeks. And I was like, ah, man, okay, screw it. So it's just, hopefully it does come Monday and hopefully it gets you back in action. All right. So if there's no questions on the project or assignment, then I will see you all on Tuesday. All right, where we can work on this pre-production thing together, or you can turn it in and bounce perfectly fine. All right, and I will outline a few things for you then. But otherwise, enjoy your weekend. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you all next week. All right, adios.